Terminated. Welcome, Westmore Christian Weaver. He is in Iowa for a second time. Who goes to Iowa twice for vacation? Acree does. That's the answer to the trivia question. But he'll be back on Monday. We're going to have a little fun today. Talk some Razorback football. Camp opens tomorrow morning. Scotty Bordelon will join us from the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, WholeHogSports.com. He comes in at 10:30. We got Dr. O'Malley at 11:30 discussing sports injuries. Mayor of Little Rock at 11:45. But right now we have Glenn Day in hanging out with us, back from the Open Championship. You look a little warmer than the last time I saw you.
I tell you what, everybody else is just dreading this heat.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the greatest thing in the world. From where I came from, I've been freezing.
Well, we joke about it. Let's see, it's set on 68 in here today. When I walk out of here after sitting in 68 degrees for 3 hours, when I walk outside at first, I'm like, oh, it kind of feels good in here. And I'll sit in my car for a second and go, yeah, this feels good. I'm warming up. Yeah. So I kind of get what you're saying.
I would much rather walk outside and start sweating than I would walk outside and be cold.
All right, let's talk championship this past weekend. Other events that you've had to play in, where does that rank?
We played at that same golf course at the Senior Open in 2017. I showed you that weather a minute ago. It was very comparable. We had, wind gusts of 45 to 50, rain pretty much most of the day, either a mist. And when it started raining, you could feel every raindrop hit you. It was like somebody was shooting you with a paint gun and paintball. But it was so bad that we were laughing. You couldn't open an umbrella because the umbrella, as soon as you opened it, it just exploded. And I just threw the umbrella away and immediately. And all you wanted to do was check off a box. Okay, I finished this hole. I finished number 1. Check. And you had 18 checks. And you didn't care what you shot. You just had to finish. Somehow you had to finish.
How do you stay dry? Because for golfers, that's the number one thing. Keep your hands and your grips dry.
There was nothing dry. I had on a full rain suit, and it was blowing sideways. So, I mean, it would hit you in the face, and it'd go down your rain suit. My underwear was wet under a rain suit. It was nothing you could do. It was literally so bad. It was just funny. It was funny.
What do you do to change your game then when your hands are wet, your grips are wet?
You got some rain gloves, these special gloves that, are better when they're wet. And so you put on these rain gloves and you have right and left hands. I mean, you put on both. I couldn't really keep the right one on, but you just left it on all day long. You were just wet. Everything was wet. Everything was wet. Didn't matter.
Is there anyone that has an advantage, a type of golfer that has an advantage in weather like that?
No, there's not, because we got on the very first hole and my caddy looked and he gets a yardage book out and he gives me the yardage. And I said, does that really matter? And he goes, no, not really. It didn't. All you had to do was, even downwind, you couldn't control the golf ball. You just had to try to bunt it down the fairway, get it up around the green. And it was really hard to putt. You couldn't stand still. So you got your feet way wide so you could try to get a base just to stand still and close your eyes and hit it. I don't know what else to do.
When you're talking about 30, 40 mile per hour winds in your face, let's say, how much do you club down there?
Oh, it doesn't matter at all. Only matters how high you hit the golf ball. So on one particular hole, I had 102 yards to the front of the green. I hit a 7-iron 160 yards normally, and I'm not very long. I hit a 7-iron about knee high, as hard as I could hit it, and I was 5 yards short of the green. and that was the same reaction I had when it stopped. I was just laughing because there's nothing else you can do.
So you're thinking at the time, because you've striped it, it's low.
Yeah.
Maybe in your mind, you're thinking that may need to get down.
I had on another hole, I had 140 yards to the front, 170 to the pin, and I hit a 3-iron right on the button as pretty as I could, and it hits and bounces And I told my caddy, I said, that went over the green. I cannot believe I hit that over the green. I got there, it was short of the green, down in a hole somewhere. It was just funny.
Is it fun at all? You say fun, but is it fun playing?
I played, my playing partner was Ken Tenagawa that day. And we started out on the first hole, and he was like, this is going to be so miserable that it's going to be funny. It's going to be a story we can tell. This is going to be fun. We're going to have fun with this. And we kind of laughed. Yeah. Well, after he doubled number 8, which was a 110-yard par 3, and then he doubled number 9, and then he made a triple on 10, he wasn't laughing anymore. It became not fun anymore. So
that's almost what you have to do, is just accept and just embrace it.
Yeah.
And go out and have fun and do the best.
Ultimately, I've worked a lot with Dr. Bob Rotella, who's arguably the best in the business and sports and psychology and all. And in the game of golf, you're supposed to play one shot at a time. Well, this was the ultimate of one shot at a time. After you hit that shot, you could care less where it went. You just wanted to find it so you could hit it again. And then you went to the next shot. So it really was that, but it was impossible to play. There were 4 par 4s that you couldn't get there in 2. Some of them I didn't get there in 3. So it was just miserable.
I think it was Y.E. Yang had the round of the day.
Shot even par. Him and Rob Labritz was the very first guy off when the weather wasn't as bad. It hadn't come in yet, and he shot even par. Y.E. shot even par, and he went from like 50th to top 10, I think, with even par.
Was he in the worst of the conditions?
No, he was early. Those 2 scores were early. The guy that won, Alex Chayka, I think he shot 5 over.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the best scores in later in the afternoon, was 5 over. The average score was 7.8 over par, which was 78.8, par 71.
We're talking with Glenn Day. He's just back from the Senior Open Championship. What did you shoot the final round?
I think I shot 5 under,
Yeah,
5 over, 5 or 6.
Because you shooting 5 over.
Oh yeah.
Top 20 finish.
Yeah. Moved way up.
You feel good about the finish and how you played?
Yeah, it was better. I haven't played good this year. Had some medical issues before, which Dr. O'Malley helped me out with. You got him coming on. He was great. And things are a lot better. It took a little longer than I thought. Being 58, you don't just bounce back like you were when you were 30. And I found my mind says I'm 30. My body just laughs.
Well, that'll take you a long way, though. The mind will. So that's one good thing for you. Glenn Day with us in the studio. When you play in conditions like that, I'm thinking it's almost a mental break in a sense to where you can't get mad.
Oh, you're right.
Because you hit a shot, and you may have hit. You told us about some good shots you hit, but you can't get mad. You just got to go and chase it, and so it's almost like a mental break from the grind. I know you're still grinding in a different way, but so many people when they play golf get mad over a shot because instead of hitting it to 5 feet, they hit it to 15 feet or 20 feet. And in conditions like this, you got to throw that out the window.
I don't remember what hole it was, par 5 on the back, and I had hit it up there and it rolled just over the green. I hit a great chip shot. I wasn't 2.5, maybe 3 feet, but it was crosswind. And so I hit my putt and I hit it good. I hit it solid, and I caught a gust of wind that blew me over and blew the golf ball about 2 cups to the right. My caddy just started laughing. I mean, we just started laughing because there was no way anybody could hit a putt that bad. The wind just blew it way off. There's nothing you can do.
Is there a point in time where, and I know they'll do it when the ball starts moving on the green because of wind gusts, but is there a point in time when it becomes so bad that they should pull golfers off the course?
Yes, there does. It happens a lot in the U.S. because our greens are so much better than the greens over there. The greens over there are much slower. So the ball's not moving on the greens because basically it's got more grass on it, So that doesn't happen. I was actually the guy that made them stop the regular British Open at St. Andrews in 2010 because the wind was blowing so hard, and it was blowing the golf balls, I mean, literally 100 feet down to another green. So it does happen, but not very often.
I've seen them before where you'll mark your ball on the green and then you go back and put it down and the wind will blow it. And then you'll have to mark it and back. And at that point, that's when they usually, I guess that's when they have to call it.
That's true. But like I said, over there, it happens all the time because so the greens are slower and they have more grass on them. So the ball will stay. It won't roll as much. But yeah, the ball was just sitting there oscillating like that. I mean,
what's the best shot you hit Sunday?
The best shot I hit Sunday was probably on 15, which is a par 3. And we had wind of about, 40, 45 miles an hour. And I hit a 5-iron into a really tough green. And I literally aimed 20 yards left of the green and hit it I just hit it as hard as I could. And the ball just kept going and going and going to the right, going to the right. I hit it on the green. That's all you wanted was on the green.
How far would the ball travel for you?
It was, you couldn't really get it up in the air because the wind was blowing so hard that when golf balls today don't spin as much as they used to. And the spin's what keeps it in the air. So when you went going downwind, it was hard to get it up in the air because the wind behind you was so hard. But I was on a par 5 and I had 240 something to the front, and I felt like I almost topped a 3-iron that went over the green. Went like 270.
What kind of stories were told in the locker room afterwards? That had to be kind of a fun locker room after it was over and everybody was trying to dry off.
Everybody was in. They'd come in and drying off, and you'd look at somebody and they'd go, I don't want to talk about it. Everybody was like, we'll talk about it later. I don't even want to talk about it. Nobody wanted to say a thing. Everybody wanted to just go home.
Is this a great win for Cheka, or is this one where he just survived a little bit better than everybody else?
He just survived. He survived. He won in a playoff over Patty Harrington, and Patty played okay. Cheka really played. He played solid. I mean, he to shoot what he did was amazing.
I felt bad. Was it Eckler that was up there near the lead? Eckler?
Yeah,
Stephen Eckler. He was up there at the top of the leaderboard or in second behind VJ. And I mean, just that last day, the conditions killed him. I mean, he dropped. He shot like 9, 10, 11 over something.
He shot, I think he shot like 81 or 82. Colin Montgomery shot 87. I think there was a 90. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Glenn Day with us in the studio. He's going to be hanging out with us. We're going to talk some about the rest of the schedule, his game, golf in general. That's what I was wondering this morning, Glenn, with the, we can get into it later, but with the LIV and the PGA Tour and the combination, is that going to have any kind of impact on the Champions Tour? Will that filter down at all? Is there anything that's going to impact you guys?
We can definitely have these conversations. I'm a little more outspoken than most people. The short answer of that is no. This is a short answer. Tim Fincham, when he was the commissioner, he really looked at the Champions Tour as an avenue to take golf into different markets that the PGA Tour could not go into. Des Moines, Iowa. You mentioned Iowa. We play in Des Moines, a really good golf tournament. Okay. The PGA Tour, that's way too small for them. We go there. So we're bringing golf. We're continuing our brand. Monahan does not have the same thoughts in his mind. Let's put it like that. He doesn't much care about the Champions Tour. I don't think. Now, right now, he does have a lot more on his plate than worrying about the Champions Tour. But in my opinion, that's a problem he created on himself. So,
who runs the Champions Tour?
Well, the PGA Tour as the Champions Tour, but we have a commissioner, just like so. Jay Monahan is the commissioner of all tours. Every tour has its own let's say, commissioner, head guy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have a guy named Miller Brady, who is wonderful, really cares for our tour, does a great job. And then below him, we have a guy named Jimmy Gabrielson, and they do as good a job as they possibly can. The Champions Tour right now is really thriving,
Mm-hmm.
but with everything else going on, it's an issue of where is the Champions Tour going to be in the future? You know, how are we going to move forward? How are we going to get our purses up? Because all of the kids now that are coming out, well, to start with, we used to play golf until we were 45 and then on the tour. And then at 45, you had 5 years to get to the regular tour. And we had what was called a past champions category. And out of that category, you could play, let's say, 12 to 15 events. Well, that's perfect. That keeps you going, that keeps you playing at whatever. Nowadays, and I've always said technology has changed the game. Tiger changed the game by a lot of athletes play golf now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they are true, solid athletes, unlike myself, however. But, you know, in the old days, the athletes played football, baseball, basketball. Now they want to play golf. So you have much younger people winning, much younger people playing. They're swinging harder, they're in better shape. They also get hurt more often, i.e., Will Zalatoris, you know. So their careers are going to be short, like a football career. You know, they're not going to sustain playing golf, you know, like Ernie Els did, let's say. It's just not going to happen. And so there's a break in their career. Now they've won so much money. How do you entice somebody? The theory is, how do you entice somebody that's won 40, 45 million and then add all the, you know, endorsements and stuff on top of that to come out and play golf when you're 50? So
Why do the younger players get hurt more? Is it due to them swinging so hard and stuff like that?
The game is taught differently. Kind of hard to explain, but when I was growing up, they taught the game from the putting green back to the tee box. You went out first, they gave you a putter, they gave you maybe a 9-iron. Here, you chip around, play, figure out how to do this, and we go back. Now they teach the game from the tee box to the putting green. You're a young kid, they hand you a club. All the new clubs for kids they're light where they can swing them, and they teach you to swing as hard as you can. You swing as hard as you can, and we'll figure out how to make the ball go where you want to go. So it's taught differently. So they're swinging harder. They're working out. They're putting more stress on their body. They're building up muscle. My opinion, part of the reason Tiger was hurt so much is you look back in the old days and how small he was. Well, look at the mass that he put on his body and the torque and all that he was swinging at. Body's not going to handle it, you know. Different people and it's showing that people are. My problem was my hip that Doc, you know, had to fix. A lot of people are having hip problems. A lot of people are having back problems. You know, they're not going to play when they're 45. They're just not.
Sort of like a basketball player. The more weight they put on,
Yep.
the more stress they have on their body.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same thing.
We're just getting started. We got to take a break. When we come back, Scotty Bordelon will join us. We're going to talk some Razorback football. They open camp in the morning. Glenn's a big Ole Miss fan.
Well, I like to tell people my two kids and all my money went to Ole Miss, so I'm kind of forced to, you know, look at that.
Do you root for the Razorbacks?
I do.
Except for that 1 week a year?
Except for that 1 week a year. I do. Yeah.
We'll talk some Razorback football when we come back. Stick around. You're in the zone. Big O. You can always go to the website, bigotires.com/deals. 2 great locations. And they got a great selection of tires, all the name brand tires. Plus, they have the Big O tire. And also, they will work on your vehicle. Need your brakes done, alignment. They do all kinds of things. It's not just tires at Big O Tires. In Conway, they're on Harkrider and Cabot's Prospect Court, right in front of Kroger. Go visit our friends at Big O Tires, the team we trust. Scotty Bordelon joins us now, WholeHogSports.com. Razorbacks open fall camp in the morning. Yesterday and changed up the start time for practice, so the guys will get up early and the media will have to get up early.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I'll say this, I'll probably be up well before then. We've got a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old that like to get up well before 6 o'clock, so we'll be ready to roll.
Christian's nodding his head. He knows. Yeah, I remember those days too. So, yeah, that was no big deal for you. You bring it on. You'll be out there bright and early in the morning. We had Coach Pittman talk to the media yesterday. Questions on this team is just like every team in the SEC in the country right now. But to me, one of the biggest questions that I think they have to figure out, the tackle spot, left tackle, right tackle. Mm-hmm. What do you think happens there?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it's, Sam Pittman's talked a lot, since Patrick Kutas got to campus. It seems like anytime there's a question about the offensive line, Sam likes to mention Kutas. And so I think, I don't want to say, he's a one when you start camp, but I think he's a guy that, is probably going to push for playing time at a tackle spot. Where that leaves Tykees Crawford, I don't know. But I think that could be an interesting, position battle in camp. And I think, on the other side, what you've got, I think at the end of spring ball, you had Devin Manuel and Andrew Chamblee on the left side. And it's kind of unfortunate for Terry Wells. I think he was, coming out of spring, I think he was maybe the 3 at left tackle. If I'm remembering right, but I think he's going to miss quite a bit of time with a pec injury. So I think Devin Manuel and Andrew Chamblee probably fighting for that left tackle spot, and Kutas and Crawford on the right side. But there could be somebody emerge. Like they've, Sam said he's got guys that he really likes and he's confident in, and I think it's just kind of just how fast can you kind of get into the groove of things and how quickly you can kind of prove yourself.
Scotty Bordelon with us, WholeHogSports.com. Scotty, we had our countdown to kickoff at the Buzz on Tuesday night. Had 4 Razorbacks join us there at the hall in Little Rock. And one of the questions I asked them, who's the strongest Razorback? And a couple of them said Kutas. And that it surprised me a little bit since he's, a freshman. You wouldn't normally think a freshman coming in would be one of the strongest guys on the team.
Yeah, that's interesting about Kutas. I think you said strongest on the team, and my mind immediately jumps to Bo Limmer.
Mm-hmm.
I think since he's gotten to campus, it seems like every preseason we hear, somebody talk about, Bo being, strong as a bull. And you saw that video from Ben Souders, I'm sure, on Twitter the other day of Bo squatting 700 pounds, which is just, it's an ungodly amount of weight. I think I would probably go with Bo if I had to pick anybody. I remember I wrote a feature on Bo late last season, and I think he was around the 7th or 8th grade, and pretty much all of his friends at the time had a cell phone. But his parents were kind of frugal with their money, so they weren't going to give him. They were going to kind of make him work to get his own cell phone. And he cracked a deal with his dad that if he hit this certain weight mark on either bench press or squat, that he could get his cell phone, and pretty much had that phone in no time. He's been strong for a long time.
Scotty, I also asked about the wide receiver position and maybe who could surprise the fans and who may be the go-to guy. And I want to say 3 out of the 4 said Tesla, or Tesla, or however that he's going to. I think he just needs to go by Tesla and get an endorsement deal. I mean, that would be brilliant to me if he's as good say he's going to be, but they were raving about his athletic ability. In fact, they one of them said, you wouldn't imagine that white boy could run like that and jump like that, but he surprised a lot of people.
Yeah, I thought he was pretty steady in camp. Obviously, when you got guys that haven't played much Division I football, if at all, with TeSlaa and Andrew Armstrong, I think there's questions surrounding those guys. Somebody else that I'm kind of intrigued by going into camp is Tyrone Broden from Bowling Green. He got hurt in the spring, kind of a freak crash into a teammate, into like a pad or something in the end zone, and kind of got banged up. And so we didn't really see him a lot. He's 6'7", can fly from what we heard before the injury. And he's a guy that's actually proved it at the D1 level. Granted, it was at Bowling Green, but he put together a couple of 500-yard seasons there. So I'm kind of interested in him. But I do think TeSlaa is going to be, I think he could be your steady possession type guy that he might surprise you by making some guys miss. His toughness, his hands were good in the spring. I think Armstrong's going to be pretty good too. He might be a candidate for me to maybe lead the team in like touchdown catches, and TeSlaa might lead them in receptions. So if I had to guess, but I'm also eager to see Jaden Wilson. Like, he got hurt in a car crash early in the spring too, and I think he's trying to work his way back, and I think he's kind of hungry to not have people forget that he's in that room too.
How big is Rocket Sanders?
Oh, he's big. I mean, it was interesting that Rocket got asked about yesterday, and Sam said what he did, because I saw some pics, I guess, from like team photo day of Rocket on Instagram the other day. And I had basically the same thought, that like, if you pinched him, you literally can't pinch him. He is very well put together, and he's been that way too, Wes. Like, I keep saying this about some guys, but he looked physically impressive when he got to campus as a freshman. He was 205, and now he's added 30 pounds and powerful. And they say he's fast, or faster than maybe he's been with some weight added. So I know I wouldn't want to stand in front of him. That's for sure.
Yeah, he could be a very punishing running back, already was, but to be that big and to Coach Pittman raving about him yesterday, that was very impressive. Let's finish up offense with the tight ends. Do you believe the tight ends will play a bigger role this year?
Potentially. I think there's, like Sam said yesterday, they've got a few guys that can be matchup issues. I really liked what they did after spring, right? Like, Luke Haas was great in the spring. Like, I think I wrote about him 2 or 3 different times, just because every time we would go watch a practice, or where the receivers and tight ends and running backs are doing one-on-ones against nickels and corners and safeties, like, Luke Haas was making catches every time, winning a lot of matchups, catching passes in like their fastball start segments and stuff like that. So he impressed, but at the same time, you had to sit back and think, like, he's a freshman and maybe physically not there yet, but I think now he's up over 240 pounds. So that's a pretty good size, I think. But I like what they did after spring with Varkey's Gums from North Texas. I think, Sam said yesterday, he's a guy that you watch him run out on the field and catch passes and stuff, and you can just tell that he's played before, so he's got some experience. I think he'll be able to maybe give that offense maybe what they had when Dan Enos was here the first time, like a tight end that could, obviously got good hands, but can make some plays after the catch. That's interesting. I'm obviously going to be really interested in Shamar Easter too. I think everybody's really high on him. It's just kind of, he came in the summer, wasn't around for spring, so it's just going to be, he's probably going to be drinking from a fire hose for a little bit.
We're talking with Scotty Bordelon on the Brandon Moving and Storage hotline. Scotty, let's move over to the defense. Yesterday, we had Deke Adams on the show to talk Major League Baseball debut with the Angels, but we did ask him about that defensive line room, and he admitted this is the deepest, most experienced room he's ever coached. You look at it, whether it's defensive tackle, defensive ends, this is, honestly, this is the most depth I've ever seen for the Razorbacks since I've been covering them. When you
Yeah.
look at the numbers that they have and the number of guys who have actually played a lot of snaps.
Yeah, I think the defensive line could be a strength, honestly. And I think part of it is that experience. Like you mentioned, I think it was brought up yesterday that there's like 9 seniors on that defensive line. And so it's not just, you've got guys that look physically impressive. It's guys that look physically impressive and have played before and kind of know what it's like to play college ball at a high level. I think, I'm really kind of interested in that group. Like Landon Jackson. You're telling me Landon Jackson's over 280 pounds at 6'7", like that's freaky. And then you bring back, Torian Carter and Eric Gregory. Zach Williams is a guy I'm really interested in. Jashad Stewart's always had a really good motor. And you add, a couple of transfers, like Keevy Rose. I don't really know a whole lot about Keevy Rose, but obviously Sam and Deke and, the guys recruiting him saw something that they liked. And Tank Booker, I think, he's a guy that I'm going to be keeping an eye on. I think he could be, kind of an immediate impact type guy, so long as, he kind of picks things up this fall. But yeah, I think there really is a lot to like on the defensive line, and I like that they're, Sam likes big bodies and he wants big bodies on his defensive line, and I think they've recruited to play 4 down, and I think they can probably go 2 or 3 deep on the ends, and probably, if they have somebody maybe emerge this fall, they might be able to go 2 or 3 deep, in those interior positions too. So it's a position group that I really like a lot.
Okay, somebody was asking us, and I looked it up. He actually lost some weight. The freshman that weighed over 400 pounds, the defensive tackle, I think he's now like at 396.
Was that Ian Gerard?
Yeah. Is this a guy that has a chance to play, or is he more of a redshirt candidate with all the experience on the team?
Yeah, that might be the case. I can't imagine. I think I heard the other day that somebody, maybe saw him walking on campus and it looked like he was carrying that weight well, which is crazy to me. I remember back in December, I think when Sam was talking about the signing class, Ian Gerard was on his, told a story about when Ian Gerard was on his visit, and they were kind of down in the area, when you're on recruiting visits and you're taking, you're doing the photo shoot and all that stuff. And Sam said that Ian Gerard got on his hands and kind of walked around the room at whatever weight he was carrying. It was probably 400 pounds at that point. Kid's pretty athletic. Sounds like he's carrying his weight well, but yeah, I think he might have some work to do to, get in front of some of those older guys.
So what's the biggest question mark for you on the defensive side of the ball?
I think it's probably finding your best 5 in the secondary. I think Nudie and Snacks, I think those 2 guys are obvious need to play guys. And I think Hudson Clark, as much crap as he gets all the time, I think he's probably in your top 5. He would be in my top 5. And then I think you've got to find, whether Jaheim Singletary can play right away. I think Al Walcott's probably going to be in that mix too. I think there's going to be a lot of transfers playing in the secondary. Al Walcott last year at Baylor, he had over 80 tackles. And I think he was like double figures tackles for loss guy too, which is kind of interesting. So clearly not afraid of contact and, kind of getting his nose into things. How well he covers, I don't know, because he was another guy in the spring that didn't see a whole lot because he was injured. I think the secondary is the biggest thing to me. I like the linebacker room, like Chris Paul and the 2 transfers they added, plus Jordan Crook. I like them, but and then the D line. I think the secondary, that's kind of the whole key, right? Like it was a mess. It was a mess last year, but I think if they can stay healthy this year, I think the secondary could be pretty solid. But they got to find their top 5 guys first.
Scotty, it's great catching up with you. Have a good fall camp. Hang in there in the heat, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, man. Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Scotty Bordelon, HopeSports.com, joining us on the Brandon Moving and Storage Hotline. When we come back, we'll talk some more with Glenn Day about the Champions Tour and what's next for him. Also, I'm going to tell you about Oaklawn. Yesterday, Oaklawn announced the purses were going up. It was a huge day for them. The increase in the number of purses every single day at Oaklawn. The races will be back and running in December, but you can go down to Oaklawn now. Now is a great time. Go make your reservations at oaklawn.com. Great restaurants, great food. You got the spa down there, and of course the sports book, the casino, and they have great entertainment coming. Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, September 10th. Buddy Guy, November 3rd. The Blues Traveler, November 17th. You can get the tickets on oaklawn.com. It's Oaklawn, Arkansas's racing casino resort. Yes. What do you have on the road?
Next week.
Next
Next week
week.
I go to This is kind of a brutal little trip. I got to go to Seattle next week, Calgary the week after that, and Flint, Michigan the week after that.
Well, y'all are heading north. That's at least smart right now.
Well, yeah, we'll see.
Is Calgary West Canada? I'm always a little confused
Alberta, I am too. I got to be honest
about
with you. It's
I know Vancouver's above Seattle,
it's an hour time change from Seattle.
so it's a little.
I think
right.
it's,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Little
think it's
east.
a little right.
Well,
It's
east of
still-
there.
It's still Western Canada, I'd say.
I would say.
Yeah.
I'd say Seattle's far west,
Yes,
like way
about
out there.
as far west, except for Alaska.
way out there.
How many more events do you guys have?
I'd have to look. I was actually trying to look at that when I was coming in here. I know we go 3, we got a week off. We play 3 more. We got a week off. Then I think we play 2. And then we start the playoffs, which is 3 tournaments. So 3, 6, 9, 11. If you play all the way through.
Yeah. You planning on playing all the way through?
Well, once you get into the playoffs, I'm gonna have to play good. I'll get into the playoffs,
Mhm.
but to continue, I need to step it up a notch.
So you've been on the tour now, Champions Tour, 8 years.
Yeah.
How much?
Let's don't break.
Giving everybody your age. How much more difficult has it gotten since when you first joined?
That is a great
years ago.
question. We talk about that all the time. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, if you shot even par, just even par for 3 days, you were going to finish, let's say, top 30, maybe top 40, but top 30. I mean, even par was a good score. Now, if you shoot even par, you're going to finish about 50th or 60th. It's phenomenal. The quality of golf is incredible, and everybody thinks we play short golf courses and
Mhm.
this and that. Well, we played Firestone for the Players Championship, 7,280 yards,
Wow.
par 70, 71, 70, I think. I mean, we don't ever play anything under 7,000 yards. I mean, unless the golf course isn't that big.
Mhm.
We go to Seattle, play a really good golf course. Chris DeMarco, it was his first tournament out. He comes out, he plays 9 holes, and he goes, 5 under par is going to win this golf tournament. He said, what a great golf course. Holy cow, this hole and this hole is long. And I said, Chris, buddy, I said, 15 under. He goes, there's no way. 3 rounds, there's no way. It was about 48 degrees and mist and rain, and Kevin Sutherland shot 61, and he didn't win the tournament. So, I mean, it's just crazy. These guys it's tough.
What's the nicest Champions Tour event?
Well, we have a lot of really good events. I don't want to put one down or put, but Jim Furyk has an event in Jacksonville, and we play a really good old style golf course, Bermuda greens, firm golf courses in great shape, and they do a wonderful job. But our tournaments are run very, very, very well.
What is the most exotic location you have been playing golf in the world?
Exotic or stupid that I have personally been. I would say the wildest place that I have ever played golf in my life was Pakistan. How about that one? This year on the Champions Tour, we went to Marrakesh early in the year. But I played personally when I got out of college. I wasn't a country club boy. I grew up in South Mississippi, 9-hole golf course. So I kind of had to learn. When I got out of college, I went to Asia, and I played Asia for 2 years. And then after that, I went to Europe, and I played Europe for 3 years. And the 3 years I was in Europe, I was dating my wife 1 year. We were engaged 1 year. We were married 1 year. And then that's when I came back to the U.S. and played.
Over on the unsponsored text line, you can still get a sponsorship for the text line. Email sales at 1037thebuzz.com. Wes Acree is not at a birthday party. He went to Iowa to be a star witness in the Iowa State case. I mean, it's gambling, right? See here. We have 4 main rules when me and my buddies play golf. One, you can't laugh at me until I laugh first. You can't point when you laugh. We're not good enough to get mad, and we get our money's worth and play 2 fairways at once. Good rules.
I've been there.
Yeah. And I was sent an article that ranks the SEC stadiums. We'll get into that later. He says it may be one of the worst articles written ever. Can't wait to share that with you. Got more on the text line we'll hit in the second hour. More with Glenn Day coming up. Stick around. You're in the zone.
The Red White Report is brought to you by Big O Tires, with locations in Conway on Harkrider and in Cabot on Prospect Court. Big O Tires offers an endless selection of wheel and tire combinations. Big O Tires, they have everything you need to fit your budget and style.
Hudson Clark, ended up gaining about 12 pounds this summer, which he needed to. We asked him to go in there and fill the hole on a running back, and he doesn't have enough behind to fill it, and he's there. You just can't get him on the ground at times. He's one that sticks out. Obviously, the D line has done a really good job. Devin Manuel was thin, couldn't handle, hard to handle a bull at what he was in the spring, and now he's. I imagine he'll report about 308. I think it was 306 when he left. So. Just a lot of positives. Lemmer squatted 700 pounds, things of that nature. That just a really good overall program for all of them. I'd like for you to ask Ben. He would be able to rattle them off faster than me.
It is report day for the Razorbacks. They will have their first practice in the morning. We heard from Sam Pittman yesterday. One of the things everybody's going to be keeping an eye on is the offense. With the new offensive coordinator, Dan Enos. Coach Pittman talked about some of the changes in the offense.
Obviously we led the nation in rushing and Power 5 a couple years back and things. So we've always tried to be physical and things of that nature. I think there's more emphasis on details. Certainly will be formationally will be quite a bit different. We were a lot of 11. That's just boom, 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 because we were playing fast. We wanted to stay in that. A little bit of very slight amount of 20 personnel last year. I think you'll see the tight ends used a lot more this year than what before. But when you're a check offense, and we will do that at times, you're checking because you're saying this is the best look and we're better than you. I mean, guys that are in check offense is like we were at Georgia my entire time there. Sometimes we were, sometimes we weren't, but we believe that we were. And there's a lot of emphasis put on the mind strong and hopefully that makes us a more physical. But going into the off season with the weight room, that was obviously we knew Dan was different than what KB was, but we need to be more physical. And in all honesty, the most disappointing thing of last year was not between the 20s; it was inside both 20s.
Coach Pittman went on and on about being more physical, and that's one of the key points, and that's what you're going to see in this fall camp. He feels like they got a little bit of away from it, especially in the red zone last year, weren't able to pound it in. So that'll be something to watch. First practice early in the morning. They did alter the practice times. While they want to get tougher, they want to be smarter. And the heat, as bad as it is right now, they're going to go early in the mornings, get done, and get off the field before it gets too hot. He said they're already used to the heat. They've been working out in it this summer. There's no need to go out there and get acclimated to the heat because they are acclimated to the heat. And sad news to report, you had Charles Ballantyne pass away overnight. I saw Dudley Dawson was the first to report it. Dudley and Ballantyne, really great friends from Newport, and a lot of people have been spending the day remembering Charles Ballantyne and the great shot he hit and some of the great moments and memories of Charles Ballantyne. We got Glenn Day in the studio with us, hanging out. Over on the text line, Glenn, we had a couple things for you. This one from the 501, actually from the 615. I don't know what area code that is, 615. A lot of average golfers, or a lot above average golfers, can't hit it more than 250, 280. What's the minimum distance you need to be able to drive it in order to play competitive professionally?
On the PGA Tour, you're going to have to hit the ball close to 300 yards. I mean, Rory carries the ball about 320 to 328. Those guys hit it so far, but in today's game, it has become a length game. And if you can't hit it close to 300 yards, there's no reason in going to try to play.
It was honestly kind of fun and different watching the Open Championship the week before you guys, and the winner, I went brain dead.
Brian
Harmon, he wasn't a long hitter, but his long irons were phenomenal.
He hit the ball better than anybody else did all week long. And the one stat that people didn't quite hear or get, and it happens every week, which this is amazing to me. He was 48 out of 48 from 10 feet and in. That's what wins golf tournaments. But on Sunday, he hit the middle of every fairway. He hit it solid. He hit it great. He played within himself. He didn't try to do anything special, and he won by 5.
And that's pretty remarkable. You look at the guys that were like at 7 under or 6 under. I mean, it was a who's who of golf. If it wasn't for what Harman did, you would have maybe had a 4 person playoff at the Open with a bunch of huge names. But for him to play that way, it was pretty incredible.
You get into the zone, as you've heard before and everything, and he was definitely there because he hit some really good golf shots and made great swings every hole.
And what a likable guy. He talked about he wanted to get back and he got a new tractor and was wanting to mow.
Yeah.
That's what he was going to celebrate.
He is a good guy. He comes duck hunting with us every now and then.
Oh, really?
In Arkansas. Him and Kevin Kisner. They come hunting every now and then.
What is Glenn's favorite course?
Well, I'm asked that a lot. My favorite course is the course that I make the most money on. Ultimately, it's a job for me.
Yeah.
But the favorite courses are, I throw Pebble up there real quick. Other than that, I love links golf over in England. Carnoustie. I was talking to Trey earlier. Carnoustie's great. St. Andrews may not be the best golf course in the world. I hated it the first time I played it. I hated it again. I hated it again. Then you start learning the history of the game, and that becomes a lot bigger factor in that. That's a wonderful course. In the United States, I got to go with Pebble.
Similar question on our Asher Record Life and Feedback. I know Glenn played some of the best courses in the world, but what is your favorite in Arkansas? Of course, if you're...
Well, you have a Lotion right down the street here, and that's obviously the best. I think the best course in Arkansas, but
best course that people can actually play.
You know what? I got to go with Pleasant Valley. Okay. That's my home golf course. Chris Mays is a pro there, a great pro. The membership there, I absolutely love. I've got great friends there. Play there all. That's where I play when I'm home. When I play with my friends, I love Pleasant Valley.
Okay.
Can you play just for fun?
Occasionally. I'm not going to take my club on vacation. Let's put it like that.
What do you do for vacation?
Come home.
And do what?
Well, whatever my wife would like to do. We travel a lot. So, we come home. I've got a new grandbaby now, 11 months old. So we go see the grandbaby and things like that. But
when you travel for events, like you went over to Britain, do you go sightseeing or did you used to?
No, no. Like Jennifer went to Marrakesh this year and she had a blast because all of the wives, they went out and they had, security and all that went with them. And they went to the market and they went here and they went there. And she was telling me all about it. I saw a hotel, 2 restaurants and a golf course. So that's about it.
Richard in Oxford is listening. And Richard says, is Glenn with y'all in quotes all day? He says to tell you hello. Yeah. Is that nickname still with you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was extremely slow when I was younger. And Mr. Nicholas is the one that started that.
He did?
And
I did not know that.
He smarted off in front of Jim Nance, and we were in Chicago. And I was actually playing good that week. I think I finished 3rd or something. So I was on TV. Mm-hmm. So Jim throws it out there. So everybody picked up on it. So I had a choice. I could either embrace it or I could, fight, which I'm going to lose that battle because I was slow. Yeah. So, my license plate says all day. I got all days on my golf tees. I just embraced it.
Did it mess with you at all? Did you find yourself go, I got to speed up a little bit or bother you?
Yes. No, it did not bother me. I did want to speed up. It was just my mental process of the way that I was going through things I wasn't doing correctly. So I went to Mr. Nicholas and I said, what do I need to do? How do I need to accomplish this goal? Because he was not a very fast player either. And so he said, basically, he told me, he said, you need to be ready to play, ready to hit your shot when it's your turn. And if you're ready, you can take as long as you want over the ball. It may seem like it's taking you forever, but you'll never be slow. Problem people have, you can watch a PGA Tour event. You got a player and a caddy, and they'll sit there and jaw back and forth and back and forth and back and forth for 2 minutes, and he gets over the ball and hits it. And they go, well, he's not slow. Well, yes, he is slow. It took him 2.5 minutes to hit that shot. If you're ready to play when it's your time, if you stand over that ball for 30 seconds, it only takes 30 seconds. That 30 seconds may seem like it's a long time,
Mhm.
but it's only 30 seconds.
I'm glad you said that. I have a couple buddies think I'm thorough, but I always tell them I'm ready when it's my turn, but I may do a couple things before I hit it.
Biggest key, be ready when it's your turn to hit, and then you won't have a problem.
Let's see here. We've got a question for Dr. O'Malley. This one from Jacob in Hot Springs. Just like John Daly said, you can't pull fat. That's why he's never been injured. Well, he's had his share of injuries later on in his career, but that goes back to your point of you muscle up a little bit and that was one of the criticisms of Tiger when he got all big and jacked up, and then his body started to fail him at times.
Yeah. I mean, these kids are pushing the envelope just like in every other sport, and sometimes you break the envelope.
I was a Little Rock Police Department officer who worked at the airport. Glenn was always so nice to me and spoke to me like he was my friend. I have always rooted for him, a real gentleman. That's from Kyle in Little Rock.
Thank you very much. I try to treat everybody the same, no matter who you are. So I try to instill that in my kids.
David wants to know what town from South Mississippi you're from.
I grew up in a little town called Poplarville. It's about 30 miles south of Hattiesburg on the way to New Orleans.
David says he's from Prentice, so I guess
Prentice, I
he
know
knows
Prentice
the
is.
area down
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Was it Al Jefferson from Prentice?
Yep. He was a Razorback commit, big time player, and I actually went down when I was with Channel 11 to Prentice and did a story with him, and then ended up getting drafted and went to the NBA and had a good long career where he made a lot of money in the NBA.
Yeah.
Never made it to Arkansas. How did you end up here?
I tell everybody, you live where you live because of 2 reasons, and I got to be real careful because she's listening. It's either a job or a woman. And I was fortunate enough to meet an extraordinary young lady named Jennifer, and she's from here. She is Bob Ralston was her dad, who passed away a couple of years ago. Steve Ralston at Burns Park is her uncle. And so we ended up here. We stay here in Arkansas, and I love it. Couldn't have made a better decision.
And speaking of the Ralstons, y'all got a big event coming up Monday.
We do. On Monday, Jennifer and her brother Dustin, after Bob passed away, put together a charity pro-am, and they raised money for a scholarship for one boy and one girl to go to college that are playing, college golf. And so they give that out every year, and it is Monday at Burns Park. I believe we're having a 1:00 shotgun. I think there are a few teams left. I'm not sure. Last year we were full. It's been great. And it's a way to honor Bob. People ask me, who's the best player you've ever played with? And I'd say Jack Nicklaus. And they go, well, yeah, that's obvious. Who else? And I would say Bob Ralston, because he was that good. There takes a lot of things to make a professional golfer. But as far as swinging the golf club and playing, he was that good.
What was it like playing with Mr. Nicklaus?
Oh, just like playing with anybody else. For me, just like I told you, I try to treat everybody the same. And the reason we became friends was I treated him just like anybody else. I didn't, I didn't fall down on it, at his feet and wasn't scared to death of him or anything. I pulled jokes on him, pranks. He loved it. I mean, we had a blast.
When I love the argument when we talk about it from time to time, and we get into it, Justin and I do. And I think I know your answer, but I'm going to ask you, who's the greatest golfer ever?
Jack Nicklaus. People can say Tiger, and Tiger's done a lot for the game. Now, Mr. Nicklaus did a lot for the game. I think when you talk about greatest ever and when you're having that conversation, you're always going to run into whatever era you're in.
Hmm.
That's the people that a lot of people didn't see Mr. Nicklaus play and they saw Tiger play. Okay. Not only did he win the most majors, but if you look at his total record, he finished second. I don't know how many times. I mean, the records is ridiculous. And what he's done for the sport, Tiger has done a lot, but what Mr. Nicklaus has done also. And my opinion is Mr. Nicklaus.
And he's designed a lot of great golf courses over the years and made an impact that way also.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought of, have you done that? Do you?
I have. I built 8 golf courses. It was a lot of fun.
Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah. I did.
Where were they?
Couple in North Carolina, and a couple in Alabama. I had a blast doing it. I learned from Mr. Nicklaus. I actually went with him when he was doing golf courses and learned how and why things happen and so it's a very interesting process to go through. But yes, I built golf courses, redone golf courses. It's a lot of fun.
Are you still doing it? Or
No, not much anymore. I had a partner who passed away, and when he passed away, he was the person that would kind of go get jobs and stuff. It's a full-time job. And in today's world, there are a lot of people that do it, and you really have to spend all your effort doing that. And I've spent my effort trying to play. So I kind of stepped away from it for a while.
is it something, I'm sorry, is it something you might get back into one day?
I've been asked to do a few things and I've helped with a few things. Yeah, probably not, but I would if someone wanted, something done. It's all about the owner. It's whatever the owner wants in a golf course. It's not your vision of what goes on. It's what the owner wants. And that's what people don't understand. A lot of people don't like some of Mr. Nicklaus's courses. It really wasn't his decision. The owner said, I want you to make this as hard as you can, or I want you to make this a public golf course. That's two separate, two separate things. So like I said, it's a real interesting process.
Well, I was going to ask, but you sort of addressed it there. When you're designing, what makes a good golf course?
Well, a good piece of land, to be honest. If you've got a great piece of land, you can make a great golf course. If you don't have a great piece of land, then you would have to move a lot of dirt to reconfigure that piece of property, which the cost goes way up. And obviously, you're only going to spend X for most courses. So you're kind of limited in what you can do with the piece of land that you have.
It takes somebody with vision to be able to look at a piece of land and figure out how this golf course is going to fit on a piece of land. You ever find yourself, sometimes I'll be driving down the road and see like a tree line. I was like, man, that would make a great, par 4 right there. If somebody came in here and then anyway, it's just always something that's fascinated me.
Well, you actually take a topo map and that's where you start. You're just looking at a map. And then you have these little thing called templates that you lay on a topo map and you lay out a golf course and it's called a routing, and you may do 20 routings and you just keep looking and you keep moving stuff and around, and then you go out on the property. And when you come up with a routing, and you may walk through things and go, holy cow, look at that big, beautiful oak tree. We're going to move this over here, or we're not touching that, or here's a creek, or here's something. And so it's always evolving in every step of the process.
It's like a puzzle.
It is.
You're putting a puzzle together.
It is.
A couple more questions for you. How good would Jack Nicklaus be in his prime if he could use today's equipment? That's from somebody in the 870.
Well, I will tell you this. He would not have been any better than he was because he was the best. He would have been the best with the new equipment. If you watch some old videos of him, he swung hard at the golf ball with a little bitty wood-headed driver. He would have done the same thing with today's driver, and he would hit it farther than anybody else, just the way he did back then.
Cattleman wants to know how many acres for the average golf course.
The best little bitty golf course in the country is Memphis Country Club, and it's on about 97 acres, I think. I'm not sure it's on 100. A normal, if you just build a golf course, I'm going to go with about 200. About 200. But in, today's world, you're building a course, you're going to put housing on it, you're going to put something. So you're like Chenal. It's a vast amount of property.
It is it's a development.
Yeah.
All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, Dr. O'Malley will join us. You gonna hang around? Do you want to?
I'll hang for a minute. Yeah, I got to talk to Doc. I got to ask him something.
All right, Dr. O'Malley's coming up. I got a couple of sports questions. We got actually a couple people's already sent in some questions for Dr. O'Malley. Stick around. You're in the zone. back in the zone. Glad you're with us. Spring in the doc. Dr. O'Malley with us on the Brandon Moving and Storage Hotline. Doc, we got one of your former patients in here with us. Glenn Day's hanging out.
Hey, Glenn.
How are you doing, Doc?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Well, I'm doing fine. You totally ruined my underwear modeling career with my scars over here.
You have these small incisions. You can't say that.
I guess I didn't violate any HIPAA laws since Glenn told us about everything you've done for him and helped him with his hip. So I guess he's doing okay. He was out playing in the Senior Open Championship last week. So I guess you did a good job, Doc.
I'll call it success.
I'd call it a huge success. I think it turned out great.
Doc, and I've got already a couple questions that people have written into us, but I wanted to ask you about a couple baseball players, and they're Rangers, and that's why I was familiar with them. Jonah Heim, a catcher, and I'd never heard of this, but he has a torn tendon sheath, and they were afraid he was going to be done for the season, but now they're coming back and saying that they feel like he'll be back and be a part of the team for maybe a playoff push in the playoffs. What is a torn tendon sheath?
Yeah, so on the back of your wrist you have, and on the palm you have, right, the tendons come down. The muscles are actually in the forearm that attach to the tendons. The tendons actually go down and attach to the wrist, and the fingers now allow you to move your wrist and fingers. And so that's actually the covering around the tendon. And there's some ligaments that hold those in those sheaths. There's ligaments there that kind of hold and give you stability to your wrist and also tendons. And so a lot of times they can be treated non-operatively with injections and therapy to allow them to calm down and kind of scar back in place.
All right. Also, one more for you, and I sent you this yesterday before the game, but Corey Seager, the shortstop, returned from a right thumb strain in just 13 days, and I was wondering if that's a little too early, but his first at bat, he hit a home run. So I'm guessing he's okay and ready to go. Is that a normal timeline for a right thumb strain?
So his strain probably is like a grade 1. So it's a very mild strain. They put him on the injured reserve list just to protect it, and also allow them to put somebody in his position on the roster. But yeah, if it's a mild strain, 13 days is not an unreasonable timeline to come back.
Are you seeing anything yet football injuries with them getting started up?
I've had a few that got injured like prior to camp starting, and so they're trying to slow those down and make sure they don't go back too quickly. One football player with like a clavicle fracture that we're just protecting because we don't want them to re-break it when they start hitting in pads. But yeah, they'll start coming in here, unfortunately, in the next few weeks.
All right, this one's from BG in Spa City. He says, got a question for the doc. 54 years old, works out, runner, biker, starting to get some joint pains, trying some yoga and massage, and started taking glucosamine and what is this word? Chondroitin. Yep, with MSM. His thoughts on that supplement and any others for joint health.
Yeah, so the glucosamine and chondroitin essentially are the components that allow you that are in cartilage. The stuff that so the problem is we don't have the ability to regrow cartilage. Once you lose cartilage, it's gone. And so the studies on that glucosamine and chondroitin, there's some that can say it's helpful. There's some that say it's not helpful. My recommendation is if you take it, you feel like it's helpful, it's fine. I don't go tell patients they should take it because the data doesn't say like everybody should be on it. I do find for patients like that, things like turmeric can be very helpful. It's natural. It's got anti-inflammatory properties to help with the pain that they're having, and then just really activity modification. Sounds like he's doing multiple different exercises in terms of biking and swimming and running. And so the more you can vary your activities, the better. And then swimming's better than biking, biking's better than running. And so if you start having joint pain, lower impact exercises is going to be better for you.
All right, one more for you from our unsponsored text line. Question for Dr. O'Malley. I have septic bursitis in my knee. We are currently treating it with oral antibiotics. If this doesn't work completely, my PCP says he may send me to ortho and they will probably just remove the bursic sac. If this was to happen, how long should I expect to be out of work? I work outside of my feet all day. Thanks.
Yeah, the biggest thing with those is once we try not to take those to surgery, but once you take the infected sac out, once you get the skin to heal, normally you can get back to activity if they can tolerate. So really, you're waiting 3, maybe 4 weeks for somebody to work outside. If somebody works like a desk job with that, you can let them go back whenever they want to. But with it being so hot outside, when you make an incision on somebody, you got to make sure that it doesn't get and you've already got one infection going on. Last thing you want is to go back outside working and then get an infection in the incision that you made from surgery.
Glenn, you got a question for the doc? You got any kind of follow up? Some free advice?
So Doc, I do have a question for you. I had a friend, which had the same surgery I had to be out all year because they tightened the hip capsule when they were doing the surgery. Tighten the hip capsule. Why would you tighten the capsule of the hip when you were fixing a labrum in your hip?
Yeah. So I do that, and don't take this the wrong way, Glenn, in my younger patients, my 20-year-olds, because their problem is different. Like when you're in your when you're 40 and older and have a labral tear in your hip, most of the time you've proven your hip stability is pretty good. My younger patients that have more what we call micro instability of their hip, it makes sense to tighten them up. But by the time you get 40 and up and you haven't had surgery and now you start, I don't tighten my over the age of 40 patients because I don't think it makes sense because you've proven you've had a pretty stable hip for the majority of your life. But that's kind of the surgeon's decision. But I think that's, for me, I try not to do it unless I have a really good reason in surgery to tighten their hip. And that's how easy their hip comes out when you go to pull traction, because we have to pull traction on their hip to get space to work. And so you can find out really quickly how loose they are. But most of our patients who have some mild arthritis or a little cartilage wear in their hip are actually tight. They're not too loose. And so I don't want to tighten somebody up who's already slightly tight or arthritic in their hip.
Well, speaking from my own experience, I thank you so much for not doing that, because my buddy that had the surgery, it was tightened. He didn't attend last week's event. Let's put it like that.
Well, there's some point where less is more. And I know we had talked about your friend, and he had a lot of surgery. And I think there's some things we just got to realize. And that's why I try to tell my patients, I can't fix everything. And particularly like if a hip, you can't fix cartilage wear in the hip very well with the hip scope. I can fix labral tears. I can fix the impingement going on in the hip. But when the cartilage, unfortunately, I don't have a good way to make it regrow. There's some ways with drilling holes in the bone, but it's not the same cartilage as what God gave you when you were born. And so I think a lot of patient understanding of what I can actually do and what some things, if we can make it better, but we may not make it perfect. And that's why, at least in my hands, I describe my 40 and older patients and my under 40. Like my 20-year-old patients that scope their hips, they're normally super happy. They come in, they have no pain, they're great. I'm trying to slow them down. My 40 and older, they're normally very happy. They just may go, yeah, it hurts every now and then. And most of that is the just wear and tear, the years they have on their hip, versus the 20-year-old that has much less birthdays on their hip, and so they don't have the cartilage wear that my over 40 patients have.
Doc, I had one more that just came in for you. Can you ask Doc about a recurring issue with Achilles tendonitis and bursitis, specifically in the insertion point in the heel, mostly stiffness and pain after an injury?
Yeah, so that can be pretty painful. So that's right where your Achilles, your heel cord goes down and attaches to your heel, your calcaneus, that's the bone. And for most of those patients, when they come in and they have that, it is because their heel cord is super tight. And so a really intensive stretching program is very important. So I tell patients, take a towel they can wrap around their foot to pull to stretch their heel cord. And there's also wall range. You can go online and Google heel cord stretching exercises, but that should be done multiple times a day. For people, if they can get their heel cord stretched out, a lot of times their insertional Achilles or heel cord pain that they have can go away. But there are some people who will need surgery for it. And that's what we have foot and ankle surgeons to help with those problems.
Doc, I know you've been staying up late, probably sleepless nights, wondering, but my tricep soreness has gone away with the Aleve, so I'm good.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're a genius.
Glad to hear that. No worries. I don't know that I'm a genius, but I've done this long enough that most times somebody can tell me, oh yeah, just do this, and normally that works. So
Great catching up with you. Have a good couple of weeks. We'll talk.
Yeah, good talking to you, Glenn. Have a great day. Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Have one for you that came in on our text line. Are you a trash talker?
Yes, golfers, all golfers are.
Said he wanted to know if you were a trash talker to everyone or just me when I played with you in Stuttgart.
Well, I tell everybody if you play golf, you better have thick skin because everybody I know is a trash talker. Yes, yes.
It's a competitive sport.
It is very competitive. We if you get upset if somebody laughs at you, I'm sorry. I get laughed at all the time, so you just got to get through it.
Is there one person that you would say is the biggest trash talker?
No, in my sport and everybody that I play with, pretty much everybody does.
Okay.
But is there that one all right, it's on today?
Oh no, well, to me, everybody, like I told you before, I don't hit the ball very far, So I mean, they're on me all the time. Everybody I play with, we're playing practice rounds, and we may or may not have a dollar or two bet on it, and as soon as I hit the first tee shot, somebody in the group is going to say, hey, you should take the club cover off of that before you hit it. Come on, So I've got to fight back. And it's a constant all day long thing.
We got to take a break. You hanging around? You gone?
I up to you.
All right, stick around. All right, we're good. I'm having a ton of fun. We got apparently the listeners are too because they're sending us plenty of comments and questions. Stick around. The mayor of Little Rock joins us. You're in the zone. Back in the zone, glad you're with us, Westmore, Christian Weaver. Got Glenn Day hanging out with us today. Acre-free zone. A lot of things going on, and man, I've been busy, and we've been talking with Glenn. I hadn't really paid attention to. We need a question of the day, and I had it, and I forgot to tell you. NFL preseason starts tonight. It's the Jets, Browns Hall of Fame game. Will you turn it on? Are you going to watch the Hall of Fame game?
I'll turn it on.
I will too.
I won't watch the whole thing, but I'll turn it on.
No, Glenn, will you watch?
I'm with you. I'll turn it on, but Aaron Rodgers is not playing, so that would be the only reason I would want to see him, see how he's interacting with the Jets as he's starting his new play. But it'll be on, but I won't pay much attention.
I'll be the same way.
Pretty much the same.
Will you gamble on it?
No.
That's how somebody have that question of the day today. If you gamble on the NFL exhibition games or preseason games, are you A, degenerate, or B, what was the word they used? So just someone that lucrative or finds deals.
Yeah, there's more degenerative things to bet on than that.
Yeah.
Like the Super Bowl.
But how in the world?
bets and
the
stuff.
preseason football. So many times it comes down to that fourth quarter and who's got a decent third string quarterback that could even lead a drive to get points.
Well, you don't know who's playing. You have no idea who's going to play. Just flip a coin.
Seems like a very unsafe bet to make.
We have had a lot of stuff in the news lately with gambling and some college kids. Iowa State was the latest one to have a little controversy. What's y'all's policy on the Champions Tour? Can you go to a casino? Can you bet?
We can go to casino and stuff, but we can't sports bet. We actually have to watch a video and answer all these questions so that they see that you've watched everything, and so you can't bet. Because like in golf, if they have me against Wes Moore and that I'm hurt and Wes is playing good, that could
inside information.
Yeah, it could really change things. And that, we have now, in full transparency, I don't bet anyway in anything. So I could care less about it. And I told him I wasn't watching the video, and I had my daughter watch it and answer all the questions. So I'd have to call her to find out what the video was.
Yeah,
I shouldn't have said that, but
I was going to ask, is there any you can't bet on football, basketball, anything?
They know when you are doing anything. Now,
Okay.
people do bet on football and basketball, but you can't touch the sport of golf.
Okay.
You
all right.
can't.
So you're allowed to bet on other things.
And not only that, they have some computers do everything. But if Wes Moore all of a sudden won $10,000 betting on golf in 2 weeks, I would get a phone call because
You were
I
tipping
live
them.
in Little
Okay.
Rock. Did you talk to Wes?
Right.
Did you talk?
Wow,
I would get a phone call.
that's crazy to think. But that would make sense. They would want to try to get to the bottom of this. Is this guy just getting lucky, or has he got some kind of inside information?
Yeah.
And let's look and see what kind of connections are to this person in that city.
I would get a phone call for sure. Yeah.
But you don't have to
Wow.
worry about that because I haven't been winning anything. I very rarely.
Yeah.
The one thing I like to do with golf is like on the majors, when I know I'm going to be watching all 4 rounds, I'll pick 4 or 5 guys, put like $10 on them to win the tournament.
Yeah.
And to me, it just kind of gives me even more guys to root for throughout the tournament.
Yeah. It's sports betting has obviously become a very, very large part of sports in itself. And so they try to track it. I heard the other day, maybe it was on the show or something. Why can't NFL football players bet on their own team? If you're betting on your team to win, if you're betting on your team to win, what's the matter with that? It's a good question.
Well, you could still have inside info on what's going on with the other team, though.
Well,
I
maybe.
guess that's probably the argument.
Yeah.
You got buddies on the other
Yeah,
tein, and
they're
you
telling
talk to
you
somebody, and
this
you
guy's
know
gonna
this
be
guy's
out.
hurt,
Yeah.
and you're loading up on your team because you know you're going to win. I can
Yeah.
see that. But I also see the point. If only you're betting for you to win, that
Yeah.
just gives you even more incentive to go out
Win.
there and play to win.
it's become a big deal.
Next season, the SEC is going to look a little different. Texas and Oklahoma are coming. You love your Sooners. What do you think about moving to the SEC?
I tell you what, my first thought is money. I think it's gonna bring more money to the state of Arkansas. The SEC's only going to be more powerful. They're already the best conference in the country. It's going to make them even better. I think Texas and Oklahoma are in for a rude awakening. They're going to go somewhere that they think that this team, maybe it's Vanderbilt, maybe it's Kentucky, maybe it's Ole Miss, maybe it's Arkansas, where they think, oh, this is going to be a pushover, and they're going to get beat, and they're going to have to, they're going to have to lick their wounds just like everybody else in the conference has been doing for years.
I think if Lincoln Riley was still there, they'd probably come in and be a top tier SEC team right off the bat. But now with them, they struggled
They
last
did.
year. So
Oh.
I don't know how good it's going to be for them coming in now.
Oh, well, Oklahoma, I don't either. But and you mentioned Lincoln Riley, they're going to the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to kill it, the Big Ten, with the style of football that they play.
Big Ten is usually ground and pound. They're
yeah,
going to air it out.
Yeah. But
Well, defensively, they're going to have to get better.
oh,
That was their issue last year.
beyond.
I mean,
a
they
shadow
could-
of a doubt. Yeah.
And part of it was Pac-12. But
Yeah.
you would think the speed that they have could give some teams, most of the teams, some problems in the Big Ten. I think Ohio State has speed, and Michigan has speed. But I think you're right; they jump in and they're one of the top 4 teams.
Yeah. But other than that, I mean, would you rather go to Tennessee or would you rather go to Purdue?
Tennessee.
Would you rather play Tennessee or would you rather have to play Purdue?
All right.
Let's
Let's run real quick to the Brandon Moving and Storage Hotline and bring in the mayor of Little Rock. Mayor, how are you?
Doing well. Sorry, just jumping on. Had something come up, and I apologize for being a couple minutes late.
Well, you are the mayor, and I know you're busy, but one of the things, and it's been in the news a lot with the sales tax and the community meetings, I know you want to hear from residents. What is the plan for the sales tax and meeting with the community?
Well, right now, proposed plan for a potential sales tax, but before we take it to the people, we want to make certain that we get as much feedback as possible. It's based on what we call 4 Ps, or we're focusing on quality and life and place, and those Ps include parks and recreation, to include additional funding for our existing 63 parks that we have, taking care of what we already have, but also a $128 million indoor-outdoor sports complex, something that is sorely needed in the state's capital city, additional dollars for Rebsamen Golf and First Tee Golf, and also to focus on Rebsamen Fund, that nature, public safety, public infrastructure, things of that. So again, those 4 Ps, we want to hear from the people, and that'll help determine if we take it to the November ballot or not.
Now, I got the littlerock.gov for the complete schedule for all of this. Mayor, we're up against it. We got to hit the break. We'll catch you up. Yeah, there you go. We'll catch up with you in 2 weeks. Thanks, Mayor. Frank Scott joining us, abbreviated. He's the mayor. Has things to do. Coming up in hour number 3, birthdays, entertainment, Glenn Day, and the ranking of SEC stadiums. I think you'll be surprised by this writer and his list. And I think it'll create a little controversy, too.
Is there a little bit of homerism, is it?
I think so. I got to find out where he's from because he's got one stadium way up there, and it surprised me. Stick around. Hour number 3 is next. Back in the zone. Hour number 3, Westmore, Christian Weaver, Acre Free Zone, Glenn Day hanging out with us today. It's been a lot of fun. Love talking golf, and I think fans have liked it, or listeners have liked it also. During the break, we're talking a little bit about the PGA Tour, Live Tour. Man, what a firestorm it was there for a while, and now I guess it still is for some.
Yeah.
But I guess the reality is I guess we still don't know what it's going to look like in the future.
No, nobody knows what it's going to look like. My guess is it's going to look like tennis, where you're going to have multiple events, maybe at the same week in multiple places in the world. That's one thing. Nobody really knows. And it's kind of sad.
From time to time, you'll have like a World Golf Tour event, and
Yeah.
then you'll have a PGA Tour event going on at the same time. So it could look more like that in the future.
Well, but the big question is, how are you going to gain access to the top events? How are you going to get there? What pathway do you have to take? It's changed a lot since I played. You used to go to tour school, and they gave out 50 cards at tour school, and then you were a rookie, and you either played well enough to finish in the top 125, which made you exempt, or you had to go back to tour school. You knew your path. In today's world, you have to go to tour school, which is a golf tournament. You have to finish so high to get on the Korn Ferry Tour. You have to play that at least 1 year. And say you play great and you finish high enough in that, that's how you get to the PGA Tour now. So, in all of that being said, now you have the Live Golf. So is there going to be a pathway? A 17-year-old kid that's playing golf right now in Little Rock, Arkansas, how is he going to get to the Live Tour? There is no pathway. They have no idea what they're doing. They have absolutely zero idea of what they're doing.
I'm sure you've been asked, but if this would have happened 30 years ago, 25 years ago, when you were playing, have you thought about what would you have done?
It's a no-brainer. I'd have gone to the Live Tour in a heartbeat. I mean, it's a capital market. They created a new mousetrap, and I will pay you to do the same thing you're doing, but I'm going to pay you 10 times as much. So it's real simple. I mean, I love 1037 The Buzz. I love being down here. Everybody's great. But if, let's say, I decided, which I know nothing about this business, but if I decided to start a radio company and I said, hey guys, I want y'all to come work for me. I'm going to pay you $1 million a piece for y'all to come work for me. I'm pretty sure that I could get everybody to move.
Yeah, it wouldn't take that much.
Well, but I'm telling you, that's exactly what happened. That's what happened. Now, in my opinion, our tour didn't handle the situation right from the very beginning, and now they're in the situation they are now. I think they didn't believe that they would actually do it. Well, I mean, they got so much money, being the Saudis, they can do whatever they want to do.
If they want to.
If they want to do it, they're going to do it, and they did.
And it seemed like an endless supply, and they were just going to keep pumping it in there and doing whatever, and it didn't matter if they, were on CW or whatever network trying to find something. They didn't care.
With this merger happening with the PGA Tour, are the Live golfers still Live golfers? Or are they PGA golfers?
That's a great question. One of the big things with the PGA Tour is they're trying to figure out a way to sanction the players that left if they merge together. Personally, I think it's going to be more of an acquisition when it's all said and done. Obviously, I'm not involved in the negotiations, but I don't understand how they're going to find players that want to come back and play in a couple of PGA events. I can tell you for a fact, the guys that are playing in the Live tournaments, they don't want to come back and play the PGA full time.
Right.
They may want to play, if somebody's from Columbus, Ohio, for instance, they may want to come back and play the Memorial, but they don't want to come back and play 4 in a row. They are playing over there. And how's the money going to be distributed? The purse, they forced the PGA Tour into raising the purses, which the tour was having to spend a whole lot more money, and that was a non-sustainable, model, which they figured out
And-
pretty quick. And so nobody knows. Nobody has a clue what's going on, to be honest.
All right. Well, you said you don't have a clue, but I still have another question about it.
Sure.
And you said acquisition. Is it PGA's acquisition of Live, or is it Live's acquisition of PGA?
From what I've read and I've looked at, it is more of a Live acquisition of the PGA. The PGA Tour is the one that needs the money.
Right.
The Live doesn't need the money,
That's what I thought.
So it is more of that, and they say they're going to set up another entity, for-profit entity, and go that away, and that Monahan will be in charge of. Well, I'm not a big Monahan fan to start with.
Okay.
But I will have to take up for him in this situation, because he works for the board, and so he doesn't work for the players.
Yeah, he's a mouthpiece, kind of like Roger Goodell.
Exactly. So the board is the one that went to the negotiating table with the Live Tour, not Monahan. The board did all this, Ed Hurley and Jimmy Dunn, and they came back to Jay Monahan and said, you have to say this. It wasn't his decision. So he had been spouting all of this out to the players. He had everybody's confidence. And then all of a sudden he turned on a dime and he lost all the confidence of the players. Well, it really wasn't his fault. The board, his boss, told him, this is what you're going to do. I kind of felt bad for him. Much as I don't like what he's done, I have to take up for him in that situation.
What do you think the future of the Champions Tour will be when all this money is up for grabs for these under 50 players, and then they get towards the end of their career, they've made all this money? Do you see these guys coming and playing on the Champions Tour?
I do see them coming and playing, because I can go back and relate to my own experience. When I was playing, we all said, there's no way I'm playing golf when I'm 50. We're not doing this. I mean, we're not playing. I'm not going to play golf anymore. We're not going to do. Well, the reality of it is it's ingrained in our DNA. The PGA Tour was our family. We spent more time with them than anybody else. Our kids all grew up together. All of the wives are friends. All of the players are friends. So you turn 50 all of a sudden and you're like, well, I can retire. I can stay home. Well, okay, you've stayed home for, let's say, 2 years or whatever when you're 48, 49, and you turn 50 and hey, I believe I'm going to go play in this tournament and say hello to Wes and, this. I'm going to go see my friends. And so you go out and you play in the tournaments, you play on the Champions Tour, because that's all we know how to do, and you go back and you get to see all your friends. I think it will be a sustainable model.
If you weren't a golfer, if you hadn't have gotten to golf, what would you be doing?
Well, that's a $64 question. When I was a kid, younger, 12, 13, 14, I was a better baseball player than I was a golfer. I wanted to be a baseball player. So everybody wants to be in sports. Well, the NCAA has a commercial out that, what is it? 3% of people that only ever, make it to the pros. So, who knows? Who knows what I'd have been doing?
How long do you want to keep playing?
I would like to play till I'm 60. So I'd like to play 2 more years. Then
what are you going to do?
Come in here and hang out with you.
All right.
I don't know, but 60 would be a good run. I haven't had the best career. I haven't had the worst career. But I can hold my head high and say I've had a career.
I was about to say
I've done well, and I've got no regrets. I've tried my hardest all the time, and it came out where it came out, and I don't apologize for any of it.
I think a lot of people would love to say that they played professional golf for 40 years.
Yeah.
Is that about basically what it'll be one day?
Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
To be able to do that.
Nice not to have an office or a secretary or, but I have a boss, but she lets me play golf.
That is pretty sweet. Your highlight the one thing that you always go back on?
Well, I only won one time on tour, so that would have been my highlight. At Hilton Head,
Mm-hmm.
winning there, it was great. But I've just been involved in so many wonderful things. The sport of golf itself raises more money for charity than football, basketball, and baseball combined every year. Not just one time. I mean combined
Mhm.
every year. So charity is a big thing in golf, and it's kind of been ingrained in us. Just like we mentioned, the pro-am we've got for Bob Ralston, where we're giving back a scholarship, to a boy and a girl. We do that. People do that. All the players do that with their own foundations and their own scholarships on top of what the tour does. So in that way, I think it's been just a great sport.
And that's been pretty much the model for the tour
Yeah.
all these years. Is charity's a huge part of each week, and then I think it's even bigger on the Champions Tour. For what y'all do.
It's huge on the Champions Tour. It is a big deal for these communities that we go into. I mentioned Des Moines, Iowa. Principal Insurance is the sponsor. They're out of Des Moines. They raise about $3 to $4 million a year through that event, along with a couple other things that they have tied into it for their community. The dollars stay in their community. So you think about that. That's a huge impact. We just had a tornado come through here that devastated lives. Well, if you have a foundation that's set up, say through golf, and have that $50,000 spread out to the food banks, how much would that help?
Huge.
And so that's what the sport does for your communities.
What's a typical week like for you when you're at an event?
At an event, well, Monday's usually a travel day. Tuesday is a practice round. So, we play with my buddies. We have a good time and everything. On the Champions Tour, we have 2 pro-ams, one on Wednesday and one on Thursday. Sometimes you play in 2, not very often, but sometimes, and most of the time you play one day. So the other day, if you're not playing good or something, you'd go practice, work on your game. If you're playing good, you may take the day off, and rest. Or you may go play another golf course. And then we play Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then we start it all up again the next week.
Is that a grind playing I notice on the Champions Tour, they kind of break it up. You all play 2-3 weeks in a row, take a week, maybe 2 weeks off, and then you're back at it 2-3. Do you like that? Is that a good setup?
I think it's a great setup because the Champions Tour can tell a potential sponsor that, hey, I can pretty much guarantee you these guys are going to play because we only play 3 weeks in a row. So you can go play, and then you've got a guaranteed week off. Whereas the regular tour, the biggest problem they had was getting their star players to play in the smaller events, Jackson, Mississippi event, let's say, or whatever. They're never going to go do that because they play the majors, they played the world events, they play the top 4 or 5 other tournaments, and then they played all the tournaments they're going to play for the year. So you couldn't guarantee them to come play. Champions Tour, you're going to guarantee that Bernard Longer is going to pretty much come play. You're going to guarantee that Ernie Els is going to show up. And you got to understand, these guys, people say, oh, it's a Champions Tour, they don't play as well. These are the people that are in the Hall of Fame. These are the people that directed the whole sport. They play pretty good.
Longer, I'm glad you mentioned him. We were watching him the other day. What is he now, like 64, 65?
No, I think he's 66 now.
Wow. I mean, a freak.
Yeah.
I mean, to be able to still do that at that age and to be week in and week out one of the best.
He is in the best shape. You can't imagine how great a shape he's in. And his whole life revolves around golf and working out. That's what he does.
What's he do to work out? Do you see him working out?
Oh yeah. We do a lot of band work, not a lot of weights. At our age, you and I talked about working out earlier. We do a lot of band stuff, a few weights, a lot of balancing. That was the one thing when I had my hip done that I was very good at balance. So it helped through the surgery. and we walk all the time. Like last week, I guess my phone or something clicked over, and it had the summary of workout or whatever you did, your activity. And last week I'd walked 57 miles in the rain and everything else. But that people don't do that.
No.
So inherently we stay in pretty good shape.
57 miles. That's still a lot, though, Glenn.
That's a
I wonder
lot.
how long it takes us to walk 57 miles.
Yeah.
Oh, my body knew it.
I definitely don't do it in a week.
You get to use carts on the pro-ams and practice rounds?
We can use carts in the tournament.
Oh.
For the most part on the Champions Tour.
Mhm.
And guys that are hurt, I had to use a cart the end of last year and the first of this year because I physically couldn't walk. But most guys walk. I think the game is better walking. There's just a flow to the game that's a little better. Of course, we have a caddy. And so if I'm in a cart, I drive up to my golf ball. I still got to wait for my caddy to get there and everything, so there's gives and takes to it.
Mhm. We got to do some entertainment news and some birthdays. So let's go ahead and get that taken care of.
Today's entertainment report is brought to you by Bell and Sword Gentlemen's Clothing in Conway. Check them out on Facebook and Instagram, or stop by Bell and Sword at 1016 Oak Street in Conway.
We have gotten a lot of stories out of this Taylor Swift concert tour. Have you sold your tickets yet? Or
We have
are they
not
going?
sold our tickets yet.
Are they going?
No, they're not going.
Isn't that-
They're going to sell those tickets.
Isn't it soon?
It is August 9th. It is,
Oh,
it's about a week away.
Yeah. Wow. Better hurry up and sell.
That's what I think. My wife's a little bit more nervous than I am,
But
but I'm getting nervous. I'm like, there'll be a rush. It's the last concert
have
of
you
the
put
tour.
them up for sale?
Oh, yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Let's just say the price could be kind of high right now, and we may have to come down.
Okay. Taylor Swift super fans turned away from concert. Turns out they were a day late.
Oh,
A couple of big Taylor Swift fans are out of a lot of money. Bear Silber is his name. He snagged a pair of tickets for him and his wife months ago for what he thought was Taylor's show this past Saturday in Santa Clara, California. He paid $500 for the tickets and coughed up $60 for parking. They arrived at Levi's Stadium, got through the security checkpoint, presented their tickets, and when they scanned, they said their tickets were for Friday night, not Saturday night.
I don't know how that happens. I'm sorry. I can't grasp my mind around it because you're huge fans, right?
Right.
You buy these tickets. You've had these tickets for months, and you went the wrong day. I'm not buying it. I'm
Yeah, I
like,
don't
something
understand how
happened,
you do
travel
that.
problem, and they were trying to hopefully get in with it. I don't know what they were thinking. That just does not make sense to me.
I don't understand how you could buy tickets for an event and then just miss the day. Are you not?
And at some
paying
point,
attention
you
at
would look at it and go, they're on your phone. You look
they-
at it and go, honey, you said you bought it on Saturday. This is for Friday. Somebody should have seen
Do
that.
you not look at what you bought?
Right.
That's not that doesn't make sense.
So he ended up snagging a second set of tickets for Taylor's show in Inglewood. He has to work, so he's not going, but his wife and her friend will be there. Those two tickets set him back $2,600. They live in Oakland, so the flight will put him back another $600. So
Costly mistake. I bet they have double checked the date on those tickets.
I bet they started double checking dates on a lot of different things.
So Lizzo Gate is going on still.
Mm.
She's undergoing some accusations from some dance crews that she let go. So one of her accusers had praised the singer after the alleged events took place, and that accuser said she wanted to follow in her footsteps. But now that accuser is coming out.
And trying to get some money.
Yeah, that's what it appears.
Surprise, surprise.
So
Mhm.
Lizzo's lawyer said these do not sound like the words of someone who harassed or discriminated against by someone they described as the Queen, Lizzo.
Hmm.
So who knows who's actually telling the truth? Maybe it's a mixture of both.
Sounds like somebody got mad about something.
Yeah, when the lawsuit
got
gets
let go,
involved, and money is the issue, it brings in a lot of questions for me.
And Tom Brady is racking up teams like Super Bowl rings. The retired NFL superstar has become part owner of yet another sports organization. This time, it's the Birmingham City Football Club. He's officially coming on board of the English Football League Championship squad. And let's see.
Did he also buy a pickleball team?
He
I thought
did.
that's
He
what
did.
everybody's doing, buying
Yeah.
a pickleball team.
Yep.
It's a new thing.
That's what I'm
Are you
going to do. A
are you gonna
pickleball.
get you a
That's what I'm
Glen
going to do.
Day
At
club?
60?
I'm going to be a pickleball player. I think I'll do that.
The Blues will hope Brady's winning will rub off on them because the team finished 17th in England's second-tier league last season. So I'll see you at St. Andrews soon, TB Dwarf said. Time to get to work. Oh, these are the teams that he did buy, sort of. The Las Vegas Raiders, he's a minority owner, of course. The WNBA's Las Vegas Aces, another minority owner. A Major League Pickleball team, and most recently, a E1 World Championship electric boat racing franchise.
Okay.
So he's
Maybe
getting
we'll
into
go
all
boat
kinds of ownership. And that's it for the entertainment report. We are giving away tickets to go see The Offspring. That is next Saturday. So if you want to go see The Offspring, along with Sum 41 and I believe Simple Plan, you can get on the call.
All right, call in now, and we'll set up a couple of players for birthdays. Here they go. The phones are starting to ring. Glenn, while we're waiting on these callers, had a couple of questions on our text line for you. Glenn, are you good friends with Daly?
Yes. Great. I mean, he's yes.
How's he doing?
He's doing okay. He's just he's like a lot of us. He's older. He can't do what he was, did a while back, and not playing as good. He's been hurt. His knee had his knee done, came back way too early, and struggling through it. He's just struggling.
Ask Glenn if he'll play in St. Louis and what you've heard about this new event.
St. Louis, the Ascension Tournament's been a very good event in St. Louis. Yes, it's in about 6 weeks or so. So yes, I plan on being there. It'll be fun.
All right, let's do it. Let's do birthdays.
It's now time for Birthday Trivia in the Zone. Brought to you by Elia's Mexican Grill. Award-winning Mexican food made fresh daily. Take care of the misses in your life with a personalized tumbler from her boutique. Take exit 108 to Elia's in Morrilton.
All right, David and Melissa.
David is with Wes, and Melissa will be with Glenday. Is Glenday
Do you know how to
aware
play? You've listened.
I've listened.
Okay.
I know. My wife said I'll be horrible at this.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, Melissa.
So
I'll do my
just
best.
blurt it out. You don't have to raise your hand or anything. When he gives a clue, blurt it out, and then we'll take turns guessing the age.
All right. This actor has been in movies such as Apocalypse Now and TV series such as Boston Legal.
William Shatner.
No.
What's that?
He is the father of Emilio Estevez.
Oh.
and
I got him pictured.
Yeah. He
I'm
played
not
the
going to say.
president
I'm not going to say the other kid's name because
That'll give it away. It's
Give it away.
yeah, you may have to. God. Drank blood. Right? What's his name?
Tiger Blood.
Yeah, Tiger Blood.
Oh,
2.5 minutes.
Sheen.
Martin Sheen. You gave it to
See,
him.
you can't do that. You gave me a clue. That's all.
But you said blurt it out. I got it first.
You need to blurt out the whole thing. Keep the Sheen private until you figure out Martin.
Martin
Charlie
Sheen.
Sheen was who I was trying to think of. Martin Sheen.
All right, point West.
Ugh.
How old is one Martin Sheen?
is 80.
Glenn?
No, he's 74.
He is 83.
Wrong way.
All right, this TV personality, she had a show for over a decade, cooking and such. She also served time in prison.
Martha Stewart.
It is Martha Stewart. Good friends with Snoop Dogg also. How old is Martha Stewart, Glenn Day?
She is 71.
78.
82.
Well, I thought she was older.
She was also on the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition.
That's
this
right.
year.
Yeah.
She looks really good for an 82-year-old.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I go with that.
All Audio clue.
Uh-oh.
Let's see. If I can find.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that.
Lead singer of Metallica.
Glenn and I are looking at each other like, I don't know.
All right. Happy birthday, James Hetfield.
Yeah, I would have never.
right,
I
I
have
wouldn't- I
no.
wouldn't
No.
got that.
This guy has played quarterback in the NFL for teams such as the Patriots and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Tom Brady?
It is Tom Brady's birthday.
Oh.
Today?
Yep.
Huh.
Well, you're going to get his age. You should know this.
Tom Brady, is it my guess? 40.
I believe so.
Oh, I'm going to tell you, Glenn, he's either 45 or 46. 45.
I'm going 46.
He is 46.
Ah,
I scored.
All right, Glenn Day can technically come back and tie this.
okay.
Uh-oh.
It is 5-2. This guy is a swimmer, an Olympic swimmer.
Michael Spitz.
Nope.
The other great swimmer. No?
He got in some trouble down in Rio
Oh.
de Janeiro
Oh.
1 year.
Yeah.
Oh,
Not Michael Phelps, the
No,
other one.
not Michael Phelps.
Oh. Gosh, what was his name? I was thinking Ledecky. No, Ledecky's not.
Ledecky's
no.
the female.
Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, I'm kicking myself. I should know this guy's name. I can't think of it.
He's got light color hair.
He does. Happy birthday, Ryan Lochte.
Lochte. Oh.
Yeah.
All right. So Wes wins, David wins. Stay on the line, and I will get your information here in just a second.
Ryan Lochte. Can't believe I forgot that guy's name.
Also, a very accomplished swimmer as well.
Yeah. No. A little bit of a. Well, that's a
But,
big stain.
yeah,
I mean,
everybody
remembers
remembers
him
just
for
that.
that. Yeah. Great swimmer, but messed up. And he's remembered for that. All right. We got to take a break. When we come back, I got to talk about the stadium list. Top SEC stadiums.
Oh yeah.
How
that's
many of these
right.
stadiums have you gone to? SEC stadiums have you gone to?
Without counting, I'm saying 6.
Okay.
6 or 7.
I've been to 12.
Yeah.
I've never been to Vanderbilt Stadium, and I've never been to Missouri Stadium, Columbia.
Odd that you
Yeah.
never been to Vanderbilt when it's maybe the closest one.
To Nashville, but why would I go?
That's a good point.
And they've only played there
Handful of
2 times, 3
yeah.
times
Yeah.
since 03, since I've been here in the last 20 years. No, never been there. All right, we'll take a break. We'll talk about this list when we come back. You're in the zone. True Service Community Federal Credit Union has got a lot of good deals right now. Just saw them at the countdown to kickoff on Tuesday. Tommy was over there, and they're rolling right now. Get involved with them. You can improve or upgrade your home with a True Service home equity loan. You can get a new pool, new flooring, maybe a custom shower, a kitchen remodel. It's also vacation season, and True Service Community Federal Credit Union has a vacation now, pay later offer. You can get up to $3,000 for your trip and 1% off regular rates. This offer is valid now through August 31st. And you can get one of the lowest interest rates in the nation with a True Service Visa Platinum card. They offer no transfer fees, no over-limit fees, and no annual fee. Great team at True Service. It all starts at the top with Linda Jeffrey, Tina, Melissa, Tommy, like I said, they're all over there, and it's easy to become a member. Apply online today at trueservice.net. Westmore Christian Weaver with you in the Acre Free Zone. Glenn Day hanging out with us today.
Yeah,
man, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for
I'm not as knowledgeable about a lot of things, but hey, at least we're having fun.
No, you've got a lot of knowledge.
You know,
here's something we can all talk about. This, who wrote this? Pete Hernandez. Pete Hernandez ranked every SEC stadium. He writes for, this is, okay. It's on AggieWire.com.
That's probably why.
It's part of USA Today's, it's a, like almost like a sidearm of USA Today in one of their, okay, now it makes sense. I'm glad I looked at that first. So Pete ranks Vanderbilt as the worst stadium. I said I've never been there, but that's pretty much what I've heard, and the consensus is.
Yeah.
Number 13 would be Kroger Field in Kentucky. I was at that 7 overtime game, and I'll tell you the one thing about Kentucky Stadium was impressive. It's just the look of it. It almost looks like a spaceship, the way it angles out and big wings, and it's in the middle of a huge parking lot. So they tailgate. The Kentucky fans were actually awesome. Yeah. And they told me, look, we're here because basketball season hasn't started yet. But we have fun at football games. We tailgate, and this is something we do until basketball season starts. The stadium, it's nothing special. I would put it as, as one of the, it's not one of the top stadiums.
I'd put it on the bottom run, but hey, Stoops is turning it into a football place. I mean, they're no pushovers.
Number 12, Mississippi State, Davis Wade Stadium.
I could go with that. I'm being more of an Ole Miss person. I wouldn't want to go to Starkville anyway.
I would. The one thing that has always stuck out, they have the best sound system that I've ever heard. Yeah. It is incredible when they're piping in that music, and it is so loud, and you can feel the bass. It's like at a concert. They have invested in their speaker system, sound system. Yeah. It was incredible. But the stadium itself, if we're just going on the stadium nothing to it.
Not that much.
Number 11 is Reynolds Razorback Stadium. I have a problem with that. I think it's a little low, especially after the renovations, and the stadium itself is very nice.
They obviously he's an Aggie, and he doesn't like the Razorbacks.
Well, he probably haven't been. He always goes to AT&T Stadium. There was one time the Aggies played there. Who knows when he went?
Obviously, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
And then number 10 is Missouri Stadium. And I've not been there.
It should be last.
But
maybe.
Every one of the people that have gone says it's a dump. That like it is Vanderbilt then Missouri.
Right.
It's everything I've been told.
Yeah, I've been to Missouri Stadium. There's not much to it at all. I mean, not at all.
Number 9, next up was Vaught Hemingway Stadium at Ole Miss.
Yeah, and here again, that's kind of like the Razorback Stadium. They put a lot of money into it. Of course, everybody's building the skyboxes. They've closed it in. The stadium itself, no, it's not the greatest. It's not the greatest at all. At Ole Miss, it's more about the Grove than anything else.
Next, number 8, William Bryce Stadium, South Carolina. I've been there. Nice, but nothing. It's very similar to Kentucky to me.
Yeah.
They have a great intro when Enter Sandman. They've got they're out there at the fairgrounds. They've got those rail cars.
Yeah, they bring the rail cars.
Yeah. I mean, that's neat. But the stadium itself, no, it's not nicer than Reynolds Razorback Stadium.
No,
it's not nicer than Ole Miss and what I've been there for. But no, I wouldn't have South Carolina up there. And here's another one, Jordan Hare Stadium at Auburn. There is nothing special about that stadium.
No.
It is. It's in the mold. Honestly, you could take those three. You could take Kentucky, South Carolina, and Jordan Hare, the stadiums, and put them next to each other, and they all kind of they're similar.
Very, very similar, very similar. And they haven't put a whole lot of money back into it yet.
6 is Ben Hill Griffith Stadium, Florida Gators, the Swamp. It is unique. I was telling somebody this morning because they've never been. I said you should go. Just so that you bucket list that you've been to the Swamp, but it is built down in the ground.
Mhm.
So when you're walking on campus, you don't see the big lights, the big second deck, because the second deck is ground level. So you walk in at the top of the stadium and then walk down to the field.
Yeah.
So it's unique in the way that it's built.
And so why you put him that far down, I think it's unique. I'm with you. It's something totally different. I would have put that one much higher up.
Yeah.
Much higher up.
I wouldn't put it over Bryant-Denny Stadium at Alabama. I think it's
No.
very nice. It's huge. They've done a lot of renovations. It is one of those stadiums that when I go to, I'm impressed with. I'm like, this is very nice. Number 4, Sanford Stadium in Georgia. Once again, it's nice. It's big, and it's been renovated. It's a good stadium.
Yeah, I agree.
3, Tiger Stadium, LSU.
It's all about the atmosphere. You go to LSU at night, that's a totally different thing. Totally different. Most of the time, people can't even see the stadium. They don't even know what it is because at night, with all of the Louisiana people, they may not can see that far. But I thought it was good. I've always liked going there. I mean, I thought the stadium's fine.
When you go criteria stadium only, it doesn't need to be this high. The stadium itself isn't spectacular. Now everything that comes along with it, yes, is awesome.
Yeah.
But the stadium itself, and I know they've renovated and they've increased capacity, but I would put other stadiums like especially Bryant-Denny and the Swamp above Tiger Stadium. As stadium itself only.
I'd put the Swamp above it for sure.
Number 2 is Neyland Stadium in Tennessee.
That thing is massive.
Huge.
Massive.
I mean, I'll never forget walking in. We come through the tunnel and I come out into the end zone, and this was Friday for walkthrough, and I'm just looking around, and I was in awe because I'd never been in a place that big. It felt like a coliseum. You think back in the old Greek days.
Oh, yeah.
It was just so huge.
It is massive. So I don't know how he got his criteria ranking these things.
Number 1 is Kyle Field.
Well,
and
I'm going to go with a big no on that one.
I would drop that way down my list.
Realistically, where would you put it?
6, 7.
Okay.
I'd have to rank them myself, but it'd be
5, 6.
a
I'd have to
lot
go back
further
further.
down. I would probably, I'd put Bryant-Denny Stadium number 1. That's my favorite place to go, and I think the stadium itself is really neat, and the renovations that they've done. It's a very good stadium.
I'd have to go with Tennessee.
And then I'd probably put Tennessee
because,
next.
So we would flip flop right there.
Yeah,
we would flip.
But I wouldn't fight you to the death over it.
No,
they're very close. Probably the Swamp next, 3. Maybe Georgia next at 4. I definitely wouldn't have Auburn, South Carolina ahead of Arkansas or Ole Miss. Oh, the thing about Ole Miss, it's smaller,
it's small,
it's quaint, and what they've done with it is they've made the most out of what they have.
I would have to go Razorback Stadium next. I don't know why they're so far down. I really believe that's a great stadium.
Mm-hmm.
I'd
probably keep Davis Wade. Mississippi State's right below. Go Vanderbilt, Missouri, Mississippi State, and then the 3 that I said are very similar. With the Kentucky, South Carolina, and Auburn, and then you get to Ole Miss, Arkansas, and the rest.
Well, obviously, you had an Aggie writing an article that hadn't been everywhere.
Yeah,
I don't know what to tell you.
No, nothing spectacular about it. Nice, good, big, yes.
Yeah,
but stadium, no. All right, that's the list. Glad we can make fun of it. We got to go. We got one more segment to go. We'll wrap it up with Glenn. We'll see what's coming up on Out of Bounds. Tell you about our friends at Gwatney Chevrolet. Great deals going on right now. They got a bunch of 2023s on the lot, and they got to get rid of them. The 2024s are coming in right now, so they got to make way for it. And when that happens, they're going to give you a good deal. They've got things like low percentages. They've got no payments for the rest of the summer. A lot of inventory to choose from. Go to the website, GuatneyChevrolet.com. You can see all the deals and you can see the inventory, and then make that trip to the Gregory Street exit in Jacksonville. And they're still looking for quality used vehicles right now. If you've got a good car, truck, SUV, they're going to pay top dollar for it. You'll be very happy with that deal. You'll be able to pay off your note, have a little extra cash, put it down on a new vehicle, and be happy with a new ride at Gwatney Chevrolet. Check out the website, GuatneyChevrolet.com. Wrapping it up on a Thursday. Now, tomorrow will be acre-free zone also. We have Tom Murphy coming in. And the cool thing is they have practice tomorrow morning. And then they have interviews. So Tom will already be done with practice and interviews. And so he can give us a full practice report tomorrow at 11:10.
It'll be the earliest interviews ever, probably.
No doubt. I mean, at 6:40
least-
is when they start practice in the morning.
Oh, that's smart.
At least in a long time. We'll have Rock and Roll Sushi in. So that'll be
Oh, that's
nice.
right. Rock
Yeah.
and Roll Sushi, the Average Guy movie review is
Chris Alley will
tomorrow.
be on.
Chris Alley's coming. Pigskin Preacher will be in, and then
Philip's
Philip
supposed to be.
Martin will be in the last hour.
A lot of movie talk.
Have you seen a Barbie?
I'm going to go with a no.
Have you seen Oppenheimer? Are you a movie guy?
No, well, I'm not a huge movie guy to start with. I do want to see Oppenheimer.
I do.
I think I'm going to take a hard pass on Barbie.
I'll watch it. I don't know if I'll go to theaters, but I'll watch it eventually.
Yeah, I'm going to see it. And
It's
I'm
old.
surprised you hadn't seen it. You know, 2 daughters and a wife. Now your daughters are older and out of the house. I
they're
got 2
older.
daughters,
Yeah.
but I hadn't seen
Younger.
it either. But my
Yeah.
one of my daughters has seen it.
Yeah, I didn't do the story today. I may do a little bit of it tomorrow. Barbie's expected to break $1 billion this weekend.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Well, I saw a story about Oppenheimer and how it's making it's the biggest Warner Brothers movie or the best. It's
I didn't see that one.
or the fastest to make
Okay.
200 million or something for Warner Brothers, but they're very happy with the way it has been received by the public.
I got to wait till they come out with something else. I'm not a movie goer.
When's the last time you went to the movie theater? Been that long?
Yeah. It's been a while. 5, 6, 7 years probably.
Mine it's probably been like 2 years.
Really?
We were in
That's not
Destin
enough
and
for me.
it was raining. It was
Raining and
nasty,
something
and
to
so we
do.
went to the movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't remember it. Real quick on the there's the Freaky Joe joins us. What's coming up on Out of Bounds?
We have Kyle Sutherland and Reggie Swinton in, and of course, with the preseason tonight, we're going to talk about that because preseason was vital in Reggie's career and making the team.
Yep.
Also, we're going to take a look at some of the top NFL players, how it compares to last year, and then of course with NBA, there's always somebody's top 10 coming out and their best players of all time. Dwight Howard had an interesting take on it, but also Dr. J.
Dr. J's list was the worst I've ever
Yes,
seen.
and so
potentially.
there was a lot of criticism about his, so we're going to get into that.
You can also talk about this stadium list in the SEC.
Oh, yeah, that'd be good.
Oh my gosh, we're getting a lot of feedback on that. People are upset about the list. It was terrible. It really was terrible.
Dr. J's was worse.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. Glenn, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
This was a
Enjoyed it.
lot of fun,
Yeah.
and we'll see you Monday
Sounds good.
at Burns Park.
For Bob's deal. That'll
Yeah.
be great.
And if they want to get signed up, call Burns Park.
Call Burns Park. If you
Okay.
want to play, bring a team Monday afternoon, 1:00 shotgun.
Christian, great job. Thank you. We'll do it again tomorrow. Have a great night. We'll talk a little preseason football tomorrow. I'm going to turn it on. We'll talk about that tomorrow, much more, like Razorback football practice.